President Trump defending not lowering flags to half staff when Melissa Hortman, the Democratic Minnesota House Speaker, was assassinated by someone posing as a police officer in the middle of the night at her home. She opened the door. She was assassinated. He also then said he didn't know who she was.
Do you think it would have been fitting to lower the flags to half staff when Melissa Hortman, the Minnesota House Speaker, was gunned down by an assassin as well?
I'm not familiar. The
Minnesota House Speaker, a Democrat, who was assassinated this summer.
Well, if the governor had asked me to do that, I would have done that. But the governor of Minnesota didn't ask me. I didn't. I wouldn't have thought of that, but I would have if somebody had asked me.
He said he wouldn't have thought of it. Of course, he did think of it with Kirk. Within hours of Kirk's murder, he announced that flags would be lowered to half staff. Trump's comments coming just hours after Vice President Vance filled in as the host of the Charlie Kirk Show today.
We have to talk about this incredibly destructive movement of left-wing extremism that has grown up over the last few years, and I believe is part of the reason why Charlie was killed by an assassin's bullet. But by celebrating that murder, apologizing for it, and emphasizing not Charlie's innocence, but the fact that he said things some didn't like, even to the point of lying about what he actually said, many of these people are creating an environment where things like this are inevitably going to happen. So when you see someone celebrating Charlie's murder, call them out. And hell, call their employer.
Out front now, former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Bakari Sellers also out front, the former Democratic South Carolina state representative. And of course, as you are both aware, a bunch of people have been fired for saying things after the Charlie Kirk murder. Congressman, so when you hear J.D. Vance hosting that podcast, the sitting vice president of the United States hosting the Kirk podcast today, I know you had a chance to listen to much of it. You know, what did you think?
I mean, look, this is the weirdest time. It's you know, there's only, as I see it, only one kind of group of people trying to make this a very divisive thing, and that is people like J.D. Vance. I mean, I've only seen, we can all go on Twitter and see people that celebrate it. They're usually faceless, nameless people, and it's disgusting. But every Democratic leader I've seen has expressed remorse for what happened, has expressed concern, has expressed compassion for the family. It's like they're trying to stir this thing up, and this is so dangerous. That's the thing, is this is such a dangerous moment because a cycle of violence is what I fear, and a cycle of violence doesn't end well for anybody. Nobody wanted this to happen to Charlie Kirk. This is awful. And for the vice president to say he knows who did it and the motivation, I don't even think law enforcement has said that there was a specific motivation behind it. So this is really dangerous.
Right, and he's talking about, you know, left-wing extremism as a group, right? And that's the motive. That's what's behind it. So, Bakari, in this podcast, Vance also interviews the White House Deputy Chief of Staff, Stephen Miller. Now, obviously, Stephen Miller has an incredibly large amount of power right now. So what he said on this is really important. I'll play it.
We are going to channel all of the anger that we have over the organized campaign that led to this assassination to uproot and dismantle these terrorist networks. It is a vast domestic terror movement. And with God as my witness, we are going to use every resource we have at the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and throughout this government to identify, disrupt, dismantle, and destroy these networks and make America safe again for the American people. It will happen, and we will do it in Charlie's name.
Just to be clear, Bakari, investigators so far have said they believe Kirk's suspected shooter acted alone, okay? But what you heard there from Stephen Miller, as a matter of fact, presented as that, was that there was an organized campaign that led to this assassination and that they're going to uproot and dismantle these terrorist networks. So what do you hear when you hear that?
I mean, unfortunately, they're using Charlie Kirk's murder as a pretext to go out and suppress and take away further rights from individuals who they disagree with. Look, I agree with Adam Kinzinger. You have a young man whose life was taken away from us far too young, whose children will have to grow up without a father, and whose wife will have to have this life without a husband. There is no person who should celebrate the fact that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, murdered, and there's no one who should celebrate that. But we can also do that without sanitizing the man. We can also do that without having to be fearful about calling out the racism or the bigotry or the misogyny or the divisiveness that came out of Charlie Kirk's mouth while he was alive. And so when you have somebody like the Vice President of the United States, and you have somebody as powerful as Stephen Miller doubling down on the divisiveness, I mean, you have to wonder where we are as a country. I'm afraid to say we've hit rock bottom, because tomorrow we can go even further. But what Stephen Miller's talking about is chilling. And Adam knows this as well. Democrats, we fell in love with cancel culture. It wasn't but 4 or 5 years ago. Democrats were just trying to cancel people for being ignorant or just not knowing or saying stuff. And I spoke out against it. Not enough people spoke out against it. But now you see Republicans firing people because of what they tweet. You're calling people's jobs because if Charlie Kirk is this free speech martyr, this seems to be the antithesis thereof. And so I'm concerned about where we're going and what we're using it for.
I want to get to the word martyr that you mentioned in a moment, because I think it's really important. But first, Bakari, what do you say to President Trump today saying he never ordered flags to be flown at half-staff for Melissa Hortman's murder? He said, frankly, because he never would have thought of it, and also because the governor never asked him to do it. Obviously, in this case, he thought of it, and he didn't need to be asked to do it. He at first said he didn't know who she was.
No, the flags did not need to be lowered for Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk is a murder victim. My heart goes out again. He should not have been killed. But there's no reason that our flags were lowered. I mean, you have individuals like a young Black police officer who saved lives at the CDC recently. The same day Charlie Kirk was murdered, you had children who were killed in elementary schools. I just think that we have gotten so far off kilter in this country where everything is political gamesmanship. Everything is one-upmanship. Everything is divisive. And so, look, I think that whatever the president wants to do in his private time to acknowledge the death of Charlie Kirk, please do it. But there are so many people who were hurt by his words while he was here. And so I pray that we utilize this moment to be better. But unfortunately, J.D. Vance and Donald Trump, they aren't echoing those same sentiments.
Congressman, I want to get back to the martyr in this context, okay? And that is this word martyr that is being used by many, President Trump himself, right? That Charlie Kirk's murder has made him a martyr. I'll play a few.
He's a martyr for truth and freedom.
Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr.
Charlie died a martyr.
He's a modern-day Christian martyr.
Steve Bannon, at least, Congressman, put the word Christian in front of it, right? Martyr is a religious word. It is very much a religious word. That is the definition. So what do you hear here when you hear again and again and again that word being used about a political figure?
Yeah, I mean, I hear what I think they're trying to get out, which is it's almost a religious movement. I mean, look, I've seen people talking about praying that he's risen from the dead and serious about this. And, as a Christian myself, it's very disturbing to watch somebody put anybody on a pedestal almost equal to Jesus Christ.